Welcome to part 1 of the Double Feature Masterclass, covering chapters 16 through 19.
Glad to be diving into this one.
Yeah, me too. So, I want you to imagine something, honestly pretty terrifying. You wake up tomorrow morning, you walk into your living room, you pick up a video game controller,
Okay.
and you realize that no matter which buttons you press, the character on the screen is just moving on its own.
Oh, wow. That's a nightmare.
Right. Or picture stepping into a house you supposedly own, but the thermostat is just permanently locked at like 40 degrees by the previous tenant.
Sounds freezing.
Exactly. And the lights turn on and off whenever they feel like it, and you literally cannot find the fuse box anywhere.
So you have this illusion of control, basically.
Yes, you have the illusion of control, but you are entirely at the mercy of a system you didn't even build.
It's an incredibly frustrating, claustrophobic image, really, because in both of those scenarios, you are trapped in an environment that is technically yours.
Right. Your name is on the deed.
Exactly. But functionally, you're operating within these rigid, preset parameters that someone else established long before you even got there. You are essentially a passenger in your own life.
And that feeling of being a passenger, is the foundation of what we are unpacking today.
It really is the core of it all.
The mission of this deep dive is to take a massive, honestly mind-bending stack of source materials. We've got notes, audio files, frameworks, all dedicated to life architecture, and we want to extract the ultimate shortcut to becoming the actual architect of your own life.
Which is a huge promise, but the material backs it up.
It totally does. Now, just to be clear on the scope for you listening, while this masterclass covers a massive paradigm shift across multiple chapters, today we are focusing strictly and extensively on two profound metaphors.
Right. We really need to narrow it down to do it justice.
Exactly. So first we're looking at chapter 16, which views identity as a gaming console, and second, chapter 17, which reframes habits as a smart home.
To set the stage for this entire paradigm, we really have to look at the core problem first.
Yeah, lay it out for us.
Well, the texts pose a very direct question to you. Are you running your life, or are invisible, outdated systems running you?
Oof, that hits hard.
Because most of us are completely unaware that we are coasting on what the framework calls default settings.
Default settings. Just love this framing because it immediately, it strips away the mystery of why we do things that sabotage us.
It demystifies the whole thing.
It really does. We're talking about the mental and emotional programming installed by our parents or our early childhood environments.
Societal expectations.
Yes, or even past traumas, right. We didn't write the code, but we're running it every single day.
The chronological disconnect is the real issue here. Think about your current life right now. You are navigating the 2024 landscape.
Right, it's complex out there.
Highly complex. You have adult relationships, a modern career, constant digital connectivity, maybe you have a mortgage. That is your current hardware.
The modern machine.
Exactly. But you are trying to run that 2024 hardware on software that was installed in, say, 1995 or maybe 2005.
So we're basically running Windows 95 on a modern supercomputer and wondering why the system keeps crashing.
That is the perfect analogy. It is a classic driver conflict. Let's look at a concrete example from the text.
Yeah, give me an example.
Say your 1995 software, which was probably installed by a well-meaning but stressed parent, taught you that safety means never making a mistake and always keeping your head down.
Oh, I know a lot of people with that exact programming.
Right. And that script might have kept you totally safe as a kid. But if you run that same script in a 2024 corporate environment that rewards bold innovation and vocal leadership,
Your system crashes.
your system crashes hard. You experience extreme anxiety every single time you have to speak up in a meeting.
And you feel like you're broken. But you're not broken, you're just running obsolete code.
Precisely.
The source text makes this brilliant distinction between being a user and being an architect. Think about how we interact with our smartphones, right?
We barely think about it at all.
Exactly. As a user, you just click the menus the developers gave you. You react to the push notifications. You accept the default ringtones. You are just entirely passive.
A user operates strictly within boundaries defined by a third party. So, translating that to daily life, a user wakes up, checks their phone simply because it buzzed.
Guilty.
Right, we all do it. They go to a job because that is what the cultural script dictates, and they react automatically to a partner's bad mood with defensiveness.
Because defensiveness is just the default emotional program that boots up under stress.
Exactly.
It's like letting the YouTube autoplay feature run your entire day.
Oh, that's a terrifying thought.
Right. You just sit there on the couch, and whatever video the algorithm queues up next, you watch it. You don't filter the inputs, you just absorb whatever's fed to you.
You're completely at the mercy of the algorithm.
But I do have to push back on this slightly.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because as much as we champion being an architect, isn't there a certain comfort in the default? I mean, making conscious choices about every single aspect of your life sounds exhausting. Why is staying in user mode actually dangerous?
That's a really fair point. There is absolute comfort in the familiar, even when the familiar is highly dysfunctional.
Yeah, exactly.
The brain loves efficiency, right? And running a default script, even a bad one, uses less energy than writing a brand new one.
So we're biologically wired to be lazy users.
We are. But the danger is the abdication of agency. If you don't actively design your own system, you are automatically running on someone else's default settings.
You're living someone else's life.
You are letting an algorithm, whether that's a digital algorithm designed to harvest your attention, or a societal algorithm designed to keep you consuming, dictate your emotional state, your career trajectory, and your relationships.
You become a product of your environment instead of the other way around.
Yes. And the goal of this deep dive is to show you how to open up the terminal, access the back-end code of your own mind, and rewrite those scripts so that the environment actually serves you.
I am so ready for this.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up playing role-playing games, RPGs like Final Fantasy or Skyrim.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, this metaphor in Chapter 16 absolutely speaks my language. It asks us to look at identity not as this fixed mystical thing, but as a gaming console.
Which is such a massive shift in perspective.
It really is. Imagine stepping into an old-school neon-lit arcade. In every RPG, you start with a character sheet.
Right. You were given a distinct set of stats. In a fantasy game, those might be, strength, dexterity, and magic.
But in a game of life.
In the game of life, your character sheet tracks real-world stats. Things like focus, empathy, resilience, stamina, charisma, conflict resolution.
I feel like my stamina stat is pretty low these days.
Well, the critical trap the source material identifies is that almost all of us are walking around playing the game of life with our starter build.
The default character. The one that was just randomly rolled for us when we were kids.
And we just accept it. We say things like, oh, I'm just not a morning person, or I've always been terrible at public speaking.
I'm naturally an anxious person.
Right. We accept those starting stats as a permanent life sentence.
Which brings us to one of the most honestly profound philosophical shifts in the entire text. It completely reorients how we view self-improvement.
What's the exact quote?
The quote is, "You are not discovering who you are designing who you are becoming."
Wow.
I want to hang that in a museum.
Yeah.
Because our entire culture treats identity like it's a buried treasure.
Yeah, go find yourself.
Exactly. We are constantly told to go find ourselves. Like your true, authentic self is this static, fully formed entity hidden under a rock somewhere during a gap year in Europe.
And you just have to excavate it.
Right. You just have to dig it up. But this RPG framework completely shatters that. Identity isn't excavation, it's construction. You can literally press pause, open the menu, and respec.
Redistribute your skill points.
Yes. You can change your build.
It is tremendously empowering when you realize the implications of that. If you have low conflict resolution skills right now, that does not mean you are fundamentally broken.
Or a bad partner.
Exactly. It simply means you haven't invested any experience points into that specific skill tree yet. The brain is plastic, you can choose to level it up.
But hold on, if we're talking about skill trees, there is a massive trap here that I fall into constantly, and I know our listeners do too.
What's the trap?
Well, in a video game, the mechanics prevent you from maxing out every single skill tree at the exact same time. You literally don't have enough points.
Right, you have to choose a path.
But in real life, we totally ignore that mechanic. We try to level up our career, get in perfect physical shape, become a master meditator, learn conversational French, and be the perfect romantic partner.
All simultaneously.
All simultaneously.
And the mathematical result of that is failure. You have a finite amount of cognitive energy and time.
So finite.
If you spread your available points across 10 different skill trees, you are giving, 10% effort to each?
You stay at level 1 in everything.
Yeah.
You just experience total stagnation and exhaustion. I mean, I've had years where my New Year's resolutions look like a laundry list of 20 different personality overhauls.
How'd that go?
Oh, by February, I hadn't made progress on a single one. Just total burnout.
Well, the solution, according to the architecture framework, is choosing a specific build. You must consciously dictate a season of focus.
The season of focus. I like that.
You say, for the next 6 months, I am allocating 80% of my experience points to my career and my physical health. I am temporarily accepting that my social life or my hobby skill trees will remain at their current level.
You have to invest heavily to actually cross the threshold of a level up. You can't just dabble.
Right. And so if we want to level up these specific skill trees, we need EXP, experience points.
And this is where the framework completely flips the script on how we view hardship. Because in a video game, how do you get EXP?
You don't get it by sitting in the safe starting village doing nothing.
Exactly. You have to go out into the wild and grind. You have to fight monsters, solve frustrating puzzles, face challenges.
Contrast that with how we operate in real life. Our modern default setting is to avoid difficulty at all costs.
Oh, completely. We optimize for a frictionless existence.
Same-day delivery, instant entertainment, avoiding awkward conversations.
Anything to not feel uncomfortable.
But if you view life through the RPG lens, difficulties are not punishments handed down by an angry universe. They are the literal mechanism for gaining EXP.
The examples the source gives for this are so practical, it completely reframes daily annoyances.
Like the grocery store example.
Yes. Take dealing with a toddler having an absolute screaming meltdown in the middle of a grocery store. The default user setting boots up and says, "My day is ruined, people are staring at me, this is terrible."
It's an overwhelming situation.
It is. But the architect playing the RPG pauses, looks at the situation, and says, "I am currently grinding my patient's stat."
It creates a psychological buffer between you and the stressor.
It really does. Or consider a more severe example, like navigating a brutal, heartbreaking breakup.
Which is agonizing.
Utterly agonizing.
Yeah.
But through this lens, you are actively leveling up your emotional armor, your self-reliance, your empathy stats. You are farming high-level EXP.
Which directly dismantles what the text identifies as the readiness trap.
The readiness trap is the bane of my existence, and we spend our entire lives waiting to feel ready before we do anything difficult.
I'll ask for that promotion when I finally feel confident enough.
Or I'll start that podcast when I feel totally prepared.
But look at how boss fights work in gaming. You never feel fully ready to enter the dungeon.
Never.
The boss is massive, the music shifts to something intimidating, the environment gets dark, and you are terrified.
The palms are sweating.
But you don't get the loot by waiting outside the dungeon until you feel ready. You have to walk in, fight the boss, survive the encounter, and then the boss drops the loot. The text puts this beautifully. Confidence is the loot.
Confidence is the loot.
I got
Literal chills reading that in the source material. We have the causality completely backward.
We really do.
You don't enter the dungeon confident. You enter trembling. You do the scary presentation with a shaking voice. You have the hard conversation while sweating. And only afterward, you pick up the badge of confidence that the experience drops.
Confidence is the reward for surviving the action, not the prerequisite for taking it.
Wow.
And biologically, this makes perfect sense. Your brain's threat detection center, the amygdala, is not going to grant you the neurochemical cocktail of confidence until you prove to it that the situation won't kill you.
You have to gather the data of survival first.
Exact.
But this brings up a logistical problem.
Huh?
How do we know which dungeons to enter? Because if I'm a level 5 player, I shouldn't be walking into a level 99 boss room. I'll just get crushed.
You'd be decimated.
Right. The source material addresses this with the concept of the Goldilocks zone, and I want to really unpack the mechanics of this diagram.
Sure. The framework divides our environment into 3 distinct zones based on the level of challenge relative to our current stats. The first is the too easy zone.
Which is your comfort zone.
Right. This is when you are fighting low-level enemies you've already beaten 100 times.
I think about my first job out of college. By year 3, I could do it in my sleep. I stayed because it was safe, but I was getting 0 EXP.
And what happened?
I experienced profound stagnation, boredom, and honestly, a slow degradation of my self-worth.
Because your brain requires novelty and challenge to maintain its edge. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the too hard zone. This is the overwhelm zone.
The level 99 boss.
Yes. If you take on a challenge that is vastly beyond your current capacity, say, trying to run a marathon with 0 weeks of training, or accepting a CEO role when you've never managed a single person, you don't grow.
You panic.
You experience panic, trauma, and a complete system shutdown.
You get one shot by the boss, and your system refuses to ever enter a dungeon again.
Exactly. The magic happens in the middle. The Goldilocks zone, also called the growth edge.
The growth edge.
The challenge is roughly 4 to 10% harder than your current skill level. It is uncomfortable, you will sweat, you will feel anxious, you will make mistakes, but it is manageable.
And that's where the magic happens.
That is where neuroplasticity is activated, and that is where you farm the most EXP.
And eventually, accumulating that EXP leads you to the real-world boss battles.
The major milestones.
Right. These are the major, terrifying life challenges that guard the gate to the next map of your life. It could be a major career pivot, finally ending a toxic 10-year relationship, or publishing your creative work for the first time.
You cannot access the next phase of your life until you defeat this boss.
But here's the reality check. What if you fail? What if you gather your courage, step into the Goldilocks zone, try to pivot careers, and you totally bomb the interview?
It happens.
Or you launch a business and it goes bankrupt. Doesn't that prove you aren't meant to be an architect?
Only if you apply a permanent, real-world finality to it. In the game, a game over screen is never final. It is simply a respawn mechanic.
A respawn mechanic. I love that.
You die, but you respawn with more data.
Failure is just data collection. You fought the boss, you learned that he breathes fire at the 2-minute mark, and you died. So you respawn, you walk back into the boss room, and this time you have to dodge left at the 2-minute mark.
You are fundamentally smarter than you were before the failure.
That data is invaluable. But let's rewind even before the boss battle, to the very beginning of acquiring a new skill. I know you had strong feelings about the friction of starting something new when we were reviewing the notes.
I do, because it's such a common stumbling block.
It is. I get incredibly frustrated when I feel clunky. If I try to learn a new language or start a new workout routine and I feel incompetent on day one, my default script screams, "Quit immediately, this isn't for you, you look foolish."
And that is where the concept of tutorial mode comes in. The text reminds us that awkwardness is not a sign that you lack talent. It is not a cosmic sign that you should quit.
So what is it?
It is simply the biological reality of your brain building brand new neural pathways. When you first learn to drive a manual transmission car, what happens?
You stall. You grind the gears.
Exactly. You are in tutorial mode. The controls feel clunky because the myelin sheaths haven't fully wrapped around those new neurons to speed up the signal.
So it's a physical limitation, not a moral failing.
Right. Expecting to be smooth and flawless in tutorial mode is a fundamental misunderstanding of human biology and game mechanics.
That takes an immense amount of pressure off. It's okay to be clunky. You're just in a tutorial. Now, I want to talk about how different people play this game, because the source material outlines two distinct playstyles: speedrunners versus explorers.
This is fascinating.
Honestly, I think this distinction is a diagnostic tool for a massive amount of modern anxiety.
It deeply explains why so many successful people feel hollow. Let's define the terms.
Yeah, break them down.
Speedrunners are players who optimize their gameplay for milestones, metrics, and sheer efficiency. They want the achievements, the titles, the fastest possible route to the end credits.
So in life,
In life, these are the people whose goal is to be a millionaire by 25, a VP by 30, and retire by 40. Every action is calculated for maximum forward progression.
and then you have the explorers. Explorers do not care about the clock.
Not at all.
They optimize for depth, novelty, and the richness of the experience. They want to do every single side quest. They want to talk to every non-playable character. They want to uncover every hidden area on the map. They care about how the game feels, not how fast it ends.
And the massive internal conflict arises when we cross these streams.
Oh, this is the worst part.
Imagine you are a natural explorer. Your soul craves depth, travel, varied experiences, deep conversations. But you live in a society that predominantly celebrates, rewards, and publishes articles about speedrunners.
Forbes 30 under 30. It's the ultimate speedrunner leaderboard. So if you're an explorer, you end up judging yourself by the speedrunner scoreboard. You look at your life at age 30 and say, "I'm not a vice president yet. I don't own a 4-bedroom house. I'm a complete failure."
When you really aren't.
Meanwhile, you spent your 20s traveling the globe, learning 3 languages, volunteering, and having an incredibly rich, diverse playthrough. You aren't a failure. You were just using the wrong metrics to grade your own paper.
It is the classic scenario of judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. If you judge an explorer by their speed, they look like a failure. But conversely, if you judge a speedrunner by their depth of relaxation or their willingness to wander aimlessly and enjoy a sunset.
They look like a failure.
Exactly. The mandate from the source text is clear. You must consciously pick your playstyle, own it unapologetically, and stop looking at the other player's screen.
Stop looking at the other player's screen. That is going on a Post-it note on my bathroom mirror.
It's a great reminder.
It is so hard not to peek, especially with social media acting as a constant broadcast of everyone else's highlight reels.
It's designed to make you look.
It is. But speaking of stabilizing ourselves against that anxiety, another crucial game mechanic the text highlights is save points.
Yes, vital for keeping your progress. In gaming, save points are safe zones where you restore your health, replenish your magic, and lock in your progress. If you die in the next room, you don't lose everything. You just revert to the save point.
And in life architecture.
We desperately need save points to restore us to a stable baseline when the chaos of the world knocks us off course.
The sources give us really practical tools for this, but let's actually define them because I think people hear daily routine and they roll their eyes.
They think of like a 2-hour meditation.
Right. The text talks about a morning cue. What is that, functionally?
A morning cue is a deliberate sequence of actions you take before you allow external inputs into your brain.
Before the world gets in.
Before you check email, before you look at the news, before you respond to texts. It might be 10 minutes of reading, hydrating, and stating your primary intention for the day. You are booting up your system on your terms, locking in your baseline.
And then there's the GPS body check-in. I love this acronym.
It's very practical.
It stands for grounding, physical assessment, and state of mind.
It takes 60 seconds.
Anyone has 60 seconds.
Exactly. You sit at your desk, you feel your feet grounding on the floor. You do a physical assessment. Are my shoulders tense? Am I clenching my jaw? And then state of mind, am I feeling rushed, angry, focused? It is a literal save point in the middle of your day to prevent you from spiraling into a reactive state.
These practices act as your psychological anchor. And to wrap up the gaming metaphor, we must address co-op mode, which represents our relationships, because life is inherently a multiplayer game.
It is. And anyone who has played a co-op video game knows there are good partners and bad partners.
Oh, absolutely. I think about playing Overcooked with my friends. Good co-op players communicate. They share their resources. If you get knocked down by an enemy, they run over and revive you. They support your specific build.
Bad co-op players, on the other hand, try to grab the controller out of your hands. They try to control your character because they think they know the right way for you to play.
They drain your health potions and don't contribute to the mission.
Recognizing whether your relationships are functioning as healthy co-op alliances or toxic control dynamics is a massive level up in itself.
Okay, so we've spent all this time in Chapter 16 talking about the active, conscious gaming of life, the boss battles, the skill points, the active decisions. But you can't be actively fighting bosses 24 hours a day.
You burn out immediately.
You need a vase. You need an environment that supports the player. And that brings us to Chapter 17, Habits as a Smart Home.
This is where we shift from the active console to the passive environment. This chapter is all about the battle between automation and intention.
So if the RPG is how you fight the boss,
the smart home is where you rest, recover, and prepare. But the provocative truth the text reveals is that you are already living in a smart home.
Which sounds great until you realize who programmed it. The human brain is an unparalleled automation machine. It runs routines constantly without our conscious input.
It's always running scripts.
But just like the default settings we discussed at the very beginning, when we audit this internal smart home, we usually find that the automation is deeply corrupted and outdated.
Let's look at how that corrupted code functions. You might have a smart home system where the code is written as trigger stress detected from an email, run protocol, go to the pantry, and eat half a sleeve of cookies.
I feel personally attacked.
Or trigger conflict with partner detected, run protocol, shut down emotionally, and doom scroll on TikTok for 3 hours.
Wow.
The lights go off, the phone comes out, and you didn't even make a conscious decision. It is an automated script executing flawlessly.
It's terrifying how automatic it is. So the job of the architect is to access that outdated code, delete it, and rewrite it. We have to replace willpower with design.
That's the key, design.
And I really want to talk about willpower because my analogy for willpower, based on reading this text, is imagine trying to light your house, but instead of a central breaker panel or automated smart bulbs, you are manually running around the house, sprinting from room to room, flipping every single light switch up and down yourself all day long just to keep the lights on.
That sounds exhausting.
That is willpower.
That is a brilliant visualization of cognitive load. Willpower is not a character trait. It is a biological battery, and it drains incredibly fast.
Incredibly fast.
Every single decision you make, what to wear, what to eat, whether to hit snooze, whether to respond to that annoying email costs energy.
It's a small tax on the battery.
Right. If you have to wake up and decide if you're going to work out and then decide what to have for breakfast and decide to be patient in traffic, your battery is dead by 10 a.m.
Yeah.
You enter a state of ego depletion.
And when you're depleted, you default to the easiest, lowest resistance behavior, which is usually the bad habit.
Exactly.
The goal is to set up your environment so that the desired behavior happens automatically without requiring a single drop of conscious decision-making.
The source outlines 3 specific types of healthy automation we need to install in our smart home.
Let's break those down. What's the first one?
Type 1 is biological automation. These are the intricate systems your body already runs flawlessly if you simply get out of the way. Things like sleep cycles, digestion, immune responses, hormonal regulation.
And the rule the text gives here is, do not interfere. Just support the script.
Right, be a supportive environment.
For example, if you know your body's sleep script needs to run its evening update to clear out cellular waste in the brain, you stop drinking caffeine at 2 p.m. You dim the overhead lights at 9 p.m. to allow melatonin production to start.
You aren't forcing sleep. You are just creating the physical environment that allows the biological automation to run without crashing.
Okay, what's type 2?
Type 2 is efficiency automation. This is all about removing decision fatigue from your daily operations.
So SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Exactly. Setting out your gym clothes the night before, meal prepping your lunches on Sundays, automating your bill payments, or having a capsule wardrobe where everything matches.
You should never, ever be wasting your precious cognitive battery deciding what to have for breakfast on a random Tuesday. Automate it. Eat the same thing. Save your high-level processing power for the boss battles at work.
Exactly. And the third type is perhaps the most vital for modern survival. Protective automation. These are automated boundaries.
I am obsessed with this one. Think about phantom power drain in a real house. Even when your TV or your microwave is turned off, if it's plugged into the wall, it is secretly draining electricity.
Just a little trickle.
Right. That is what open commitments, unmade decisions, and toxic relationships do to our brains. They are phantom power drains. Protective automation unplugs them.
How does that look in practice for you?
Well, it's the automatic no. If someone asks you to join a new committee or attend an optional networking event, your protective automation fires instantly. Let me check my calendar and get back to you.
Which is such a polite deflection.
It is polite code for no, but I'm buying myself 24 hours so I don't cave to the social pressure in the moment.
Yeah.
Or the rule that the phone goes into a physical drawer in another room after 9 p.m.
You remove the temptation entirely.
Exactly. It's not a nightly debate with yourself about whether you should check Twitter one more time. It's just the automated security system of the house locking the doors to digital distractions.
So the vision of the smart home is clear, but implementation is where the system usually breaks down.
Always.
Knowing you need automated routines is one thing. Actually programming the code into your neurology is another. How do we move a habit from being a massive drain on our willpower to becoming an effortless, automated neural pathway?
The sources give us a very specific 21-day installation protocol. And step 1 of this protocol is where almost everyone, myself included, usually fails.
What's step 1?
Step 1. Choose one routine, just one, and make it laughably, embarrassingly easy. We are not saying, I'm going to do a P90X workout for an hour every day. We are saying, I'm going to do one single push-up, or I'm going to drink one glass of water.
That does sound laughably easy.
But honestly, I have to voice the skeptic here.
Okay, lay it on me.
If my goal is to lose 50 pounds, doing one push-up a day feels like a complete waste of time, why bother?
Because you are confusing the physical result with the neurological installation. At this stage, we aren't optimizing for calories burned. We are optimizing for identity shift and neuroplasticity. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a dense, overgrown jungle. You want to build a super highway through it. If you try to pave a 6-lane highway on day 1, meaning if you try to work out for an hour a day when you haven't exercised in years, you will exhaust yourself, run out of willpower, and quit.
The jungle fights back and overgrows the path.
Exactly. You start by taking a machete and just walking the same single narrow dirt path every day. That is the one push-up. You are proving to your brain that you are a person who initiates the behavior. You are establishing the baseline neural connection.
And once the path is clear?
Once the dirt path is clear, then you can pave it.
Okay, That makes total sense. I'm building the habit of being a person who does the habit, not worrying about the intensity yet.
Right?
That brings us to step 2 of the protocol. Link it to an existing trigger. You don't rely on your memory or a vague sense of motivation. You use an if-then statement. After my morning alarm goes off, I will immediately drink that glass of water.
The alarm is the existing trigger that initiates the new automation.
Step 3 is removing friction. You want to make the path of least resistance lead to the good habit. If you want to run in the morning, your shoes are tied and sitting next to the bed, blocking your path to the bathroom.
You literally trip over them.
Exactly. If you want to eat healthier, you don't keep junk food in the house, forcing yourself to drive to the store if a craving hits. You engineer the environment.
And step 4 is tracking it visually. Put a massive red X on a physical wall calendar.
Why a physical calendar?
Because you are honoring the 21-day minimum, and your brain needs visual proof of progress to generate dopamine. That dopamine is critical. It isn't just a feel-good chemical. It acts as a chemical save state that encodes the behavior as a micro-win, literally gluing the neural pathway together.
Okay, now once you have installed these new routines and built this beautiful smart home, you have to protect it from intruders.
You need a security system.
Yes, this is where we deep dive into the automated boundary system, the security system of your life architecture. The framework mandates setting up automated filters across 4 specific domains.
Let's really explore these, because calling them boundaries sounds nice, but executing them is tough.
It is so hard. The first domain is time boundaries. This isn't just saying I'm busy. This is setting up an automated filter on your email so you don't even see messages after 7 p.m.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. Or having a hard stop for meetings at 5 p.m. No exceptions.
The key word is automated. If you have to negotiate your time boundary every single day, it's not a boundary. It's an ongoing argument.
With yourself and others.
Yes. The second domain is energy boundaries. This goes back to our discussion on cognitive load. An energy boundary means establishing a default no to any new commitments unless they're an absolute undeniable yes. You assume your energy budget is fully spent unless proven otherwise.
If someone asks me to help them move on a Saturday, and my default is maybe, I'm leaking energy all week, dreading it.
Just stressing over whether you'll say yes or no.
Exactly. If my automated energy boundary says my weekends are reserved for recovery, I can say no instantly and cleanly.
It saves so much anxiety.
The third domain is relational boundaries. Let's be honest, we all have energy vampires in our lives.
We certainly do.
People who just suck the joy and the life force out of a room. The protective automation here dictates that these specific people only get surface-level engagement.
You are revoking their access to your deep processor. If a coworker constantly complains and gossips, your automated script is smile, nod, give a neutral response like, wow, that sounds tough, and physically turn back to your computer.
Give them nothing to feed on.
Right. You do not engage, you do not try to fix their problem, and you do not give them your deep emotional processing power.
And finally, emotional boundaries. This is programming an automatic pause between stimulus and response. When you feel triggered, when your heart rate spikes during an argument with your spouse, the script says, pause, take a deep breath, and say, I need 10 minutes to process this before I respond.
You short-circuit the explosive default reaction.
So we have built this incredible, optimized, heavily defended smart home.
Which is amazing, but it brings up a very real fear I have when looking at all this architecture. If I automate my routines, my boundaries, my mornings, my evenings, my meals, don't I just become a boring, hyper-optimized robot prisoner in my own life? Where's the spontaneity? Where's the joy of just living?
That is the danger of over-optimization, and it is a highly relatable fear. If you automate everything rigidly, the house does become a prison. But this is exactly why the source material introduces the crucial fail-safe, the manual override.
Oh, thank goodness.
True, high-end smart homes always allow for human overrides. If the lights are programmed to turn off at 10 p.m., but you are hosting an amazing dinner party with your best friends and the conversation is incredible, you don't kick them out. You hit a switch and override the system.
But the text gives a very specific cardinal rule for when to use this in our lives, and it's vital. Override is for protection and genuine joy, not for laziness.
This is the absolute linchpin of the entire system because your brain is tricky. It will try to use the manual override just because it wants to be lazy.
It'll try to trick you.
Always. To help you know when to legitimately use it, the text provides a brilliant decision tree distinguishing between 2 internal states, resistance and depletion.
This distinction changed my life.
Same here. Resistance is when your mind says, ugh, I don't want to go for a run. It's raining outside. My bed is so warm. I'm just going to skip it today.
Mm.
But physically, your body is completely capable. You aren't sick. You aren't injured.
So in that scenario,
That is just neurological resistance. The brain is trying to save energy. You do not use the manual override. You stick to the automated routine. You put the shoes on and you run.
but depletion is an entirely different biological state. Depletion is when your body says injury detected in the left knee or severe systemic exhaustion present from fighting off a virus.
Actual physical limits.
Right. In that case, if your automated schedule says it's time for a high-intensity workout, you must use the manual override. You shut the routine down, you stay in bed, and you rest.
I love the shorthand for this. You use the manual override because you have a fever, not because the bed is warm and cozy.
That perfectly captures it.
If you confuse resistance with depletion, you'll never achieve anything. If you confuse depletion with resistance, you'll burn yourself out.
And to ensure this entire smart home doesn't glitch, misinterpret signals, and burn to the ground, we have the final component, the maintenance schedule.
Because smart homes require upkeep.
They do. You cannot just set these automations and forget them forever. Our lives change, our environments change.
The text outlines a non-negotiable schedule, starting with daily maintenance. This is taking 5 minutes at the end of the day to clear your mental cache. A quick shutdown routine where you close all the open loops, write down tomorrow's tasks, and officially log off.
Weekly maintenance involves carving out specific, dedicated time for deep restorative rest. This isn't just watching TV, this is active recovery. Time in nature, deep social connection, or complete silence to let the nervous system reset.
Monthly maintenance is where we integrate the two metaphors. Once a month, you open up that RPG character sheet we talked about in Chapter 16, and you honestly review your stats. Look at your smart home automations.
Check what's working and what isn't.
Exactly. What leveled up this month? What atrophied? Did that new morning routine actually work, or do we need to tweak the trigger?
And finally, quarterly maintenance requires a complete unplugging. A full system reboot where you step away from the daily grind, perhaps a weekend retreat, or even just 2 days completely off your phone to ensure the life architecture you've built is still serving your actual current goals.
Are you still playing the build you want to play, or have you drifted back into speedrunner mode?
If you skip these maintenance windows, you aren't saving time. You're just guaranteeing a catastrophic system crash down the line.
So let's bring this all together. We are looking at a complete, holistic synthesis of these two chapters. From Chapter 16, you are the player. You are no longer accepting the starter build. You are actively designing your character's stats, choosing which boss battles are worth fighting to get the loot of confidence, and defining your own win conditions as an explorer or a speedrunner.
You hold the controller.
And from Chapter 17, you are the architect. You are automating the smart home environment, the habits, the boundaries, the efficiencies that seamlessly supports that character's journey. You design the environment so that doing the right thing becomes the default state, freeing up your cognitive battery for the challenges that actually matter.
That is a staggering amount of agency. It shifts you entirely from victim of circumstance to creator of reality.
So we want to issue a call to action for you listening right now. Sometime today, audit your life. Look at your character sheet and pick just one single stat. Maybe it's your patience, maybe it's your public speaking, maybe it's your financial literacy that you want to intentionally level up this month.
Just one.
And then look at your smart home. Find one outdated, inherited automation script, like eating junk food when stressed or saying yes to social events you hate, and use the 21-day protocol to rewrite it.
Start small. Pave the dirt path before you build the highway. The goal isn't immediate, flawless perfection. The goal is simply regaining administrative access to your own life.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for today. There is a concept lingering in the source material that we didn't fully unpack today, but it is too powerful not to leave you with. It's called the DJ mindset and the concept of removing edit access.
It is the ultimate boundary, the final layer of protective automation.
The reality is, you cannot control the macro weather of your life. You can't control the economy, you can't control the traffic, and you certainly cannot control the songs that other people choose to play in their own lives.
No, you can.
But you are the DJ of your own experience. You have absolute, unquestionable control over your own headphones. You have the authority to actively remove edit access to your life. You can revoke the Spotify login from energy vampires, toxic habits, and outdated cultural scripts that disrupt your system.
You don't have to let them queue up the next track.
Exactly. The software update is currently running in your mind right now. The only question left is, are you the one running it?
A vital question to carry with you as you navigate the rest of your week.
Next time you wake up and grab that invisible controller, or walk into the smart home of your habits, remember, you don't have to play the starter build, and you don't have to live in the cold. You are the architect. We'll see you in part 2.